Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
Need to know what Jeff Angelo is indeed the program. Look, we're in a recession. We've had, the politicians want you to debate that, but we've had 2 straight quarters of negative growth in America. Yet, in May, 4.3 million Americans still quit their jobs, even with the economy slowing down. And I keep talking about the Great Resignation because perhaps you're like me. You've got friends or you yourself have jumped jobs in the last year. Chris Pitre is a workplace culture expert and the co-author of the Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Love as a Business Strategy. And I want to chat with Chris about why all of this is going on. Chris, welcome to Iowa Radio. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Chris, I'm fascinated by this. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to the news, you know that there's some real fears about economic slowdown here, but people are still like, I'm out of here. What do you think's going on in the workplace?
Yeah, no, it's fun times as well, but I think that, when you look at these numbers, the thing that's not being discussed is people are likely leaving these workplaces in droves because of the workplace cultures that are present and the way they're getting treated by their leaders and managers and even teammates.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about that because even though you're hearing in the news, there might be an economic slowdown soon, and even in central Iowa currently, there's been some reports of some layoffs already been made. Mm-hmm. People still feel emboldened. They're like, I don't care. I don't like my job. I'm going to jump to another job. Did the pandemic really cause people, Chris, to reassess their lives, or has this been coming for a long time? How do you see it?
I think there's 2 things. One, the pandemic for sure. And then I think historically, if you look at when we had the last major workplace revolution, it was the Industrial Revolution. So a lot of leadership philosophies and management theories are still coming out of the Industrial Revolution. So we're due for a workplace change and environment shift. And I think the pandemic sort of was a catalyst that got us going faster. And I think that there's now opportunities for leaders and business managers and anyone who's trying to retain talent to really take a hard look and see, is my workplace one where people are healthier, wealthier, and wiser by working with me versus, are they just expected to be grateful to be getting a paycheck?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Chris, that is the major change going on around the country. Is you really can't have the boss anymore that just says, hey, buddy, you ought to be glad you just have a job. So this sounds, though, like a challenge for a lot of employers here in Iowa, Chris. We still have a labor shortage. There are jobs to be had. You can jump to a job that makes you happier. So what do you say to an employer going, Chris, I need to retain some people? How do I do that in this new age?
Yeah, I think that there's now a place for honesty to be had in the workplace, right? I think up until now, there's been a drive for harmony, which means that we all just sort of come here, do what we need to do, leave. We don't need to rustle any feathers or talk about real stuff. And since the pandemic, that need for honesty is present. And I think just having more honest conversations about whether things need to improve or not inside of your current work environment is now on the table to discuss. And to be honest, that might be enough to get some people to change their minds if they see a change coming, or if they know that their leaders are willing to listen. That might be enough to get them to stay, but also if they are given the opportunity to contribute to what changes need to be made, whether that's procedural, behavioral, organizational. And I think that when employers are willing to listen, they might actually see the tides change.
Chris, final question for you, inspired by an earlier answer. You talked about the change we're experiencing given, the last big change was the industrial age. This is a new change. I recently had a friend who jumped from one job to a job as a content provider for a business. And I wonder, in the new era, are there people who are just jumping out of one job to the next and saying, I want to be part of the new cool jobs that are out there? I mean, that may be a real challenge for employers, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the grass will always be greener where you water it. But I do know that, as we move into this knowledge working society, there are people that are willing to, learn new crafts and new skills with social media and technology and that now opens up their opportunities and options when it comes to income. And I think that if they have those opportunities, they're going to take advantage, right?
Yeah.
And to me, like as an employer, that also means that you have the opportunities now to really think about what skills and what roles do you have available that you may not have considered your current employees for, right? And so there might be some time for some internal movement and some new careers inside of your current employer, and some employers are not looking at it from that perspective either.
That is really thought-provoking stuff, Chris, talking about maybe the new positions need to be created within your company. He's the co-author of the Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Love as a Business Strategy, Chris Pitre. Chris, thanks very much for talking with me this morning.